All right, so we have used Quick Mask in our previous ones in order to cut and paste, but in order to create the parallax effect, we're going to have to put each one of the pieces that we cut onto a separate layer. And that means that we're going to cut and paste rather than using the Quick Mask for this technique. First thing we're going to do is we're going to search for a picture that's appropriate, and I wanted somebody overlooking a canyon, and it needs to be where we're looking over their shoulder in a way. So these won't work so well because what you do is you cut the person out and then you heal this and you cut it into pieces and slide it up and down, and it makes it look like they're looking up and down into the canyon, and that won't really work with somebody in this position. This one might, but we are in the shadows here and we don't really have the definition we're looking for, and I would prefer to have someone closer to the edge. This one's kind of ideal, but it's got all that watermarks in it because it's somebody's, um, they've copyrighted it, which actually everything on the web is copyrighted. It does not have to say that. So this might work. I'm not really thinking that that's a really great choice. Ultimately, this is the one that I chose. I really didn't look any further. So this way we can actually make it look as if she's looking further over the edge. So I right clicked and I said save image as, and I went in here and it already had it, the Horseshoe Canyon, Dream, whatever, whatever. So then I hit save, which I don't need to do. And then I just opened up the folder and dragged it and dropped it onto the screen, and it automatically created a layer of its own. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to use that magnetic lasso. Now I'm going to do this quick and dirty because you do not need to see every step of this in order to understand how you're going to accomplish it in a slower and much neater fashion, of course. So we're going to use the magnetic lasso tool again, and the colors are pretty definite here, so it's going to do a pretty good job of following the contour. Around her hair, it's a little problematic, and I click at points where it's changing or where I want to be sure. And it doesn't matter if we leave a little bit of her hair, not really, because of what we're going to do here in a little bit. But we really don't want to get too much of the background because the cleaner this is at this point, the easier it will be to work with. Again, though, I'm going to play fast and loose with this because I want to get to the other techniques. Around the shoe, it gets a little squirrely because it's not quite sure what you want to get out of it. And it's going to be fairly important to get most of her shoe for it to look good. And that's not really working very well, but I'll go ahead and do it quick, and then we'll go back and we'll clean that up a little bit just to be sure that you know that you can clean it up. Now, along the bottom here, it gives a little bit of trouble sometimes, and it kind of doesn't see right there. I need to put a point and another one because it's not sure what it is I'm trying to get there, and it's getting kind of wavy. We can clean all that up. So there we go. There is my selection. Notice that it has a minus there now. So I can take this hopefully out. Double click at the end of it. Didn't do really good. Now I also want to cut out between her legs. There we go. And actually, look, her shoe got pretty good. Now, if I hold down the Alt key or the Shift key, it turns into a plus. And I can go over here and I can add back in this edge of her shoe and double click at the end of it, and it added back in. So now you've got the whole like cut and paste idea. So now I just do Control X. She's gone now. I'm going to go Layer, New, Layer, and then this pops up over here, and I'm just going to hit OK. And I click on that layer and do Control V, and it puts her on the layer. Now, I don't like where she is on the layer because I'd like to put her back in her original position. If I turn that off, I can see, so the eyeball over here on the right turns them off and on. When I make sure that I'm on that layer, I should be able to go to Edit, Free Transform, and then I can pull her into space, and you can use the arrow keys. And then if you use Control Arrow, it takes it a tiny bit. So you can see with the arrow keys, I can move her exactly right back in place. Now I can turn her off so that all I see is, oh, I have to hit the check mark right here that I accept my edits and my placement. Now I can click the eyeball and turn her off, and we're left with a mess here. This is so interesting how you clean this up. Now if you'll go up here to the Band-Aid and the healing, I'll show you that if we click on the Spot Healing Brush 2, it chooses for us, we have to click on this layer, what it thinks that we want to heal with, and I don't want to heal with that. So what I want to do, if I hit Alt, it's going to give me this message here, and it says the spot healing tool automatically samples pixels to correct the spot with one step. To manually set the source, use the healing brush tool. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the healing brush tool. So I'm going to go back up here and click the little arrow, and sometimes it works right, and choose healing brush. Now I have a bigger brush here, which I changed right there. And I'm going to hold the Alt key, and that identifies where it's going to take the color from. So I'm going to tell it I want it to take the color from right there, and then it's going to paint that color right here. And you'll notice it's painting in those rocks. And it's doing it a little, there we go, that's a little bit better. Doing it a little bit weirdly. And over here, I'll choose this, and then I'll come over here and start painting in some edges here. I'm not real sure why it's wanting to leave that white. Oh, yeah, I am. Alt, get further away over here and choose that spot. And then, because what it was doing was it was picking up the edge where it was already white. And that is what it was doing. So I'm going to go back over here where it's darker and start in here. And then the more that we brush over it until it starts finding white instead, the more it's going to give us the colors we want. So let's go right here and kind of paint that in. And then we need to pick an edge here, and this edge is going to have both things on it. So notice I just continue to tell it to sample in a different place. And it does that. But see, there's a little bit of rock sticking out here. So this rock actually overhung some more. So I'm going to go sample down over here, and then I'm going to go up here and kind of put that rock in. But notice it's picking up the edge of the picture. There we go. Okay, now I want to fill in the water. So I'm going to choose the deep water here, hold down the Alt key, and it starts filling in the water. Which is, and you'll see, I'm not sure how, you should see the little X floating around over there that shows where it's sampling from to get it. So there we go. Now if I want to get the edge here, I'm going to choose the edge, hit the Alt key, and you'll see that that begins to give me a real nice edge there. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here, hit Alt, and come over here and start picking up more like Now, is that cool or what? Okay, I'm going to let you figure out the rest of it because you can, well, actually, I'm so close to getting it. I guess I might as well finish. Now, it got over here in like the muddy part. Not crazy about that, so here we go. If you're real careful about this, you could actually begin to make it look pretty good. Okay, now what we've got to do is we've got to cut this top part away from the bottom part, and then we need some pretty clear definition here in order to do that. Okay, and then we're going to make another layer with that. So I'm going to go back to my magnetic lasso tool, and I'm going to start here, and this should be pretty cut and dried. It should follow along there pretty well because there's a pretty distinct color difference. Except right in here it gets a little bit muddy. But we can go back and we can heal some more later. I'm not crazy about this, that it won't just follow that line. So I'm just going to do this real quick. And then I'm going to do Control X. Oops, it didn't end it. Finish. There we go. I really do need to add to it. And in order to add to that, I'm having to click it like every couple of inches to get it to actually go down here on the bottom. And it might be better to actually do it with the geometric tool. Okay, now let's do Control X. We deleted it. Let's get a new layer, layer, new, layer. Okay. Click on that layer, Control V. Okay, now I can do Edit, Free Transform, pull it down here where it belongs. Now, the problem here is that what I have is, I will have to hit the check mark, of course, before I can do anything else. Put the girl back on. I really want the girl above this. So I'm going to drag layer 3 down here. And so now I have this layer with nothing on it. Turn that off. Turn that off. Turn that off. I don't even need layer 2 there. I ended up getting to delete layer. Yes, I want to delete it. Okay, now let's turn the eyeballs back on. So now we would be importing this, but then it's going to be important to go here and here. And what we want to do is we want to heal this image as if you can see below here and the water just completely covers it. And we're going to use the same tools. So we're going to go up here and grab the healing brush tool again, and I'm going to select my spot by holding down the Alt key, and there's the spot I'm going to take from, and I'm going to fill in here. And I'm going to take a look at this real quick. Hardness is 100%. I'm wondering, that didn't really make any difference. That caught the edge, so if I go over here and hit Alt and start here, Let's choose here. So you're going to have to play with this a little bit to get this to look really, really natural. And then you're going to want to choose this part and bring your little island on down here. Get some edges and then get some water in there. And make it look realistic. And that way we'll be able to take this layer and we'll be able to move it up and down as if she's looking over the edge. So that is the goal, and I want you to choose a series of pictures and keep it. So if we're going to do this and we're going to do the parallax effect, when we import this into Premiere Pro, are we going to want to flatten it and merge all the layers together? Think about that. We're going to have to manipulate the layers in Premiere Pro. So you want to keep it in layers. So you should be choosing at least 4 different photos that are connected somehow thematically, and you're going to do this. You're going to cut it into pieces. You're going to take the figure out of it. You're going to heal the background, and you're going to create the foreground so that the background and the foreground can move independently. And you could go back to this foreground layer and you could extend it. You could make it come out even further so that you would have more to play with. And if she were actually standing up, you could make it appear that she actually bent over the edge, which would be really, really cool. So whenever you do this, you're going to be wanting this to recede and this to come up as if somebody has looked over the edge. So that's going to be your goal. And that should keep you busy for a while.